Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of our International Faculty Development Program. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our expert speaker for this morning session, Mr. Sarath Shankar. He is currently working as the Project Officer for Entrepreneurship at the ADII. He brings a wealth of experience in fostering innovation, mentoring young minds, and building entrepreneurial mindset. Today, he will be speaking on a vital topic for modern educators: future of education. How can a flourish engineer help a society in multiple ways? We are grateful to have you with us today, sir. I invite Mr. Sharad Shankar to take over the session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, audible, sir.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So shall we start?
Okay.
Okay. So very good morning to all. Uh, Thank you for inviting me for this presentation, for this program. So today I will be covering the topic how the flourished engineers are changing the way our country is moving ahead. So first I will be giving an overview of how the economy is working. Later on, how the engineers are contributing to this, and what are the present situation, what are the issues faced by the engineering institutes, and how, to a little extent, how we can tackle such issues. So once again, very good morning to all. So what is the status of our country in terms of GDP? We are in the fifth position with around $4 trillion economy. And what is the status of our engineering graduates? Every year around 13 lakh engineers are coming out. In this figure, I have not included ITI portions and all. And around 6,700 engineering colleges are present as of now. As I said, we are the fifth largest economy in terms of nominal GDP. Even though if in terms of real GDP, it will be maybe a little less, because in this case, the inflation figure is also considered. And the third position in purchasing power parity. Uh, Top comes the USA, second China, and third comes our country. We are growing at a range of around the 6 to 7% annually. And this has been consistent for the last 5 years. Even though in between we had to face COVID-related issues, later on we took that as an opportunity and improved our economy in a good way. Now coming to the engineering and the GDP sector-wise combination, you can see that in the engineering segment, maybe for the last 20 years or so, it was the IT sector and the software sector which was contributing to our growth. Even after completion of the core engineering, even after the normal degree also, most of the students were engaged with IT and IT-enabled services. So how we could capture it, because we had a linguistic advantage. Our brain drain was a gain for us because people from here in the early stages went outside, uh, developed link with different companies, started their own companies, and this has helped us in a great way to be leader in IT and related sector. So when you compare it with the total GDP, you can see that around 32% of the GDP is contributed by the IT and IT related companies. I have mentioned different sectors here, how they are contributing to this GDP. When the core construction sector is considered, it is only 14%. Even manufacturing sector, it's very less. When you compare it with China, the Chinese manufacturing contribution to the GDP is more than the service sector. So their contribution is around 40% of their GDP. Contribution is from the manufacturing sector. Then comes the health and biotech sector, which is also very low. Now the scenario is changing a little bit. The relevance of IT and IT related sectors are almost stagnant, and the new sectors are coming up, especially the manufacturing and the healthcare sector. As I mentioned earlier, look at the IT sector growth. We are the top one in global IT services export. Our companies lead. Many of the global multinational companies have their head offices, their working offices in our country, and we are achieving around $254 billion revenue, export revenue in IT. As I said, our economic growth was primarily dependent on IT sector for the last 20-25 years. When we go back, say 75 years back in 1947, when you compare it with the Chinese economy, we were better than Chinese economy. In 1947, many of the indicators were better than Chinese indicators. Now, how they have overcome us in terms of GDP? When we talk about $4 trillion economy, Chinese economy is around $18 trillion. So how they have overcome such situation? So it was in the end of 1970s, they decided to uh, invest a lot in the infrastructure, manufacturing sector. As we are all aware that the manufacturing sector, it is not easy to uh, develop like the IT sector. We took the easier path where you can have 1,000 square feet building, few computers, internet connections, and we start gaining money. But that is not the case in manufacturing sector, because a lot of supply chain issues need to be sorted out. Many components are built or combined together to form a new component or a product. So we need a strong supply chain network for this purpose. So the investment in the core engineering or core sectors transformed China to a global giant after, say, 2020. In the 80s, when they started reformation, the impact came after 2000, where they were able to grow at around 8-10%. So you can see that whatever we talk related to GDP, the engineering sector is very much correlated. It is said that most of the issues can be solved by engineers. Around 70% of the global issues can be solved by engineers due to their specific skills, where science, the knowledge is getting converted to product or service. So I wish to take this case of roads and highways. What is happening in our country? Uh, the concept of express highway was brought during the 90s. Before that, also there was a discussion, but the first express highway was Pune Mumbai Express Highway. At that time, there was a discussion going around regarding the environmental impact, why we need an express highway, why such wide roads are required. But if we are putting the same topic now, what will be our view? We are very much interested to have wide roads, larger connectivity. We are discussing about reaching, say, 500 kilometers in 2 hours or 1,000 kilometers in 4 or 5 hours. So such connections, how it is going to impact the society? Now we are constructing the world's or the Asia's largest uh, express highway, Delhi Mumbai Express Highway, which is around 1,300 kilometers long, connecting from Delhi to Mumbai, traveling through different states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. So think from the industry perspective. As I said, to develop the manufacturing sector, we need to have a good inventory management, supply chain management. There was a time when a product from Delhi reaches the JNPT project in Mumbai within, say, before implementation of GST. It took around 1 week for the product to be realized. More than 1 week, you can say. Every check post, there is a process of VAT, and after every process, when it reaches Mumbai, it takes around 1 week. Then unloading of the product, then packing it in containers and exporting it. So if somebody is an industry is in Mumbai location, and their raw material need to be brought from, say, north side. So as the production, we cannot stop. It is a continuous process. The inventory we have to keep, it will be little bit high, because it will take 1 week to replenish this or process this inventory. Now think of after completion of this road, say maybe next year, it only takes around 12 hours to reach Mumbai. So the inventory of the industry comes down, and of course, the efficiency increases. So it is said that the contribution of logistics to the cost is around 16 percentage, 16 percentage to 18 percentage in our country. So when say 100 rupees is transported, around 16 rupees is spent to the logistics part. Now it is coming down. For the last 10-15 years, we are focusing on improving the roads and highways, the railway infrastructures. So let us see, uh, in 2000, in the beginning of 2000, the highway construction was around 5 to 6 kilometers per day. Now it has gone to around 25 kilometers per day. And the spillover effects, it takes time to realize such projects. As I said earlier, when China uh, began its transformation in 80s, the effect started in 2000. So the infrastructure, manufacturing, the other sectors takes time to realization. Now the network has improved a lot. Similar to Mumbai Delhi Expressway, we have in Kerala connecting 6 lines, Kasaragod to Trivandrum. Then every states are competing each other for such projects. We have Visakhapatnam Raipur Expressway. We have uh, dedicated freight corridors, Western dedicated freight corridors, Eastern dedicated freight corridors, which is exclusively for transporting products through rail networks. So such changes are, of course, impacting the society in a greater way. Now, who is contributing to this? Of course, the engineering people are contributing to such uh, changes. So, coming back to uh, this dedicated free corridors, it was planned before 15 years, but the pace of implementation has improved recently only. Now, the companies like Maruti has started shifting their production cars through these freight corridors. We are having double-decker containers traveling from one end to another end of our country, which is again reducing the logistic cost drastically. Then comes the sector digital infra. So 15 years back, we were not able to imagine the UPI concept or such uh, transfer of money, say 10 rupees or 25 rupees, which is happening today. And how this has happened, we have overtaken all countries in this digital infrastructure. How this has happened? This has happened because of the great contribution from the engineering sector, especially the IT and the electronic sectors, which has helped a lot in such cases. The data says that around the 2026 data says we have done 23 billion transactions in May last month, which comes to around 80 crore transactions per day. So the transaction of digital money compared to the cash has risen from uh, 10-20 percentage to around 60%. So this rising level of transaction helped the economy to a greater extent. You can see it in rural areas how uh, GPay or PhonePe is helping the rural economy. The level of cash has come down drastically, and even we forget to take debit cards or even the cash while while traveling. Then comes the change in the internet sector. The internet sector has changed from 2G to 5G, now the 6G. We are discussing about 6G. Our country is one of the cheapest, uh, have one of the cheapest rate in digital infrastructure, especially in the uh, broadband sector. This, of course, have helped us in transforming the industry sector, and even a monthly package of 200, 300 rupees is helping to do business through mobiles, and of course, the rural income is increasing. Then comes the renewable energy sector. The renewable energy, as we are entering into the sustainable model, the coal sector has come down. We are focusing on the renewable energy. We are discussing about on-grid systems. From off-grid systems, we are discussing about large storage batteries. The Adani Group is planning to have a large storage batteries in Gujarat. So when we talk about renewable energy sector, the core renewable energy is, of course, the wind and the solar. The wind turbines, a single wind turbine of 2 gigawatts or 4 gigawatts is being designed or say is thought of uh, among the industrial sectors, where people are thinking of contributing a great in the turbine technology or in the storage technology. Even the solar side, now the strength of Indian solar sector is around 200 gigawatts. So 200 gigawatts strength happened with a compounded growth of around 15-20% annually. And this achievement happened in the last 10-15 years because of the improvement in the solar cell technology, the reduction in the cost, etc. Then comes another sector where healthcare related technologies happen. We are always blamed for the lack of cleanliness, lack of the healthcare sector improvement. And of course, we were least focused about this sector because our main priority after independence was alienating the poverty. We brought in the planning commission. Every 5 year, we decided to bring policy revisions, green revolution, many other revisions, many other plans were implemented, and poverty was reduced slowly, steadily. At that time, the health sector, it was said that the health sector should be kept under the public sector, or but the public sector contributed to the health sector. Almost 80-90% of the health sector was contributed by government dispensaries, district government hospitals, government medical colleges, and uh, the health sector doctors or technical persons who are coming out were coming through government uh, colleges. So 70s, 80s, we were of the belief that the government can do or transform many things and bring the country up. So we were least bothered about private sector growth. But after 80s, especially after 90s, when after we faced the crisis of balance of payment, we had to keep our gold in the World Bank to get money. Then drastic reformation happened in private sector. Now you can see that in the healthcare sector, the private sector is contributing more. We have increased our aims numbers. Almost all states are having one aims. Now we are discussing about robotic surgery. We are discussing about how dental implants can be made. So I came across a recently when we were intervening a cluster related to dental sector. I came across a cluster in Kannur. They were basically clinics, dental clinics, around 30, 40 doctors. But we had a discussion of how the sector is going on. To my surprise, what I found was that almost all products related to dental is manufactured with the help of uh, German machineries and Chinese machineries. The CNCs from where from the blank, the crown or the bridges of for the dental sector is made. Not a single company is manufacturing such machines. Now compare the cost of the implant or whatever dental sector services are happening with the Europe. Our cost is around one third. In UK, you have to wait for 3 to 4 months to get an appointment of a dental doctor. Whereas here, we are having a surplus. Doctors are waiting for the patients. The cost, again, the cost is around, see, for removing a teeth or implanting a tooth, the cost it comes, if it is around 3,000, the same cost is around 12,000 or 10,000 more in Europe. People still have not explored this sector. And this sector, when we discuss, there is tremendous opportunity for export. Even in Kerala, we have a dent care in Muatupura, which is having a turnaround of around 300, 350 crores. Most of the products are exported, and still a plenty of space is available in such sector. How engineers and doctors co-work together, you can see how we have a digital image processing tool, intraoral scan, where the doctors scan our mouth and the image uh, is transformed through mail to the a common facility center or the manufacturing center, where it is downloaded, identified, the issue is identified, and the file, the particular engineer works on that file, he sent it to the CNC, and you get an output, which is in form of a tooth with the micro level structures in place and addition of the elements like colors, the texture, etc. So again, what is happening in the sector? As I said, not a single company is manufacturing such a machine in our country. Uh, I happened to visit one of the prominent supplier in Bangalore, such machineries. So he said that German machineries, which cost around 3 crore, 4 crores, the same functioning machineries, which he has started importing from China, comes around at 1.5 crores. Now, how is it possible? I wondered how this is possible, even though if you can say for the quality part, it will be a little bit less, but from the industry perspective, the functioning part is good enough. They can realize their investment, say, in 2, 3 years compared to a German-made CNC. Now, how the engineers are building such machineries in China and why it is not possible from our side. This is a point to be discussed. Come again to the manufacturing sector. As I said, the manufacturing sector contributes only 15-16% of the GDP. And it takes more time to build a manufacturing ecosystem. We have started a product linked incentives for certain sectors like textile and many other micro components, chips, etc. Now, why the government need to subsidize? Because we are least uh, bothered about improving the competitive index. If you say in 2012-13, the smartphone manufactured in China, say for a feature phone, it cost around 70-80 rupees. When the smartphone, it cost around, say, 400-500 rupees. The same manufacturing cost was around double in our country. But slowly, steadily realizing the problem, we decided to build a smartphone manufacturing ecosystem. The companies like Micromax, Intex started interacting with the Chinese industries. Slowly, steadily, the Taiwanese companies like Foxconn invested in our country, and we have become the net exporters of the smartphone. Now, how this was possible? Because the policymakers decided that there is a problem pertaining to the sector, and if this is going on, tomorrow we have to completely depend upon a foreign country, and especially today you can see the war-like scenarios where we are facing the difficulty in obtaining different raw materials and finished goods. So the smartphone ecosystem was developed within a 5 or 6 year time frame, even though the components around 50% to 60% the components are imported. At least we were able to develop a plant for mass manufacturing of the smartphones. Again, we are improving the chip side level. We are a net importer, and the government is planning to change the scenario where cities like Dolera, even in Assam, chip manufacturing ecosystem is slowly, steadily developing. So within fewer time, we can replace the importing chips with Indian-made chips. So the manufacturing sector, again, I wish to quote an example. Shabrimala is one of the prominent temple in India where lakhs of devotees come, and especially during the season, it comes around November, around 60 days. That is the major functioning season. In 60 days, around 1 lakh people visit. That is the maximum capacity. Around 1 lakh people visit this place and do the worship and buy certain prasadas, products. So we had a discussion of the manufacturing ecosystem in manufacturing the Aravana, which is one of the prasada in Shabarimala. It's a paper can. It was an aluminum can initially, and now, due to the sustainable impact, they have transformed to paper can. Around 3 crores Aravana uh, sold out during this season. And we have a plant in the Sannidhanam at the top hill, which is of an Italian made Cillian Billy, which is doing the filling process. And the can is brought through tender. Now, what happens while filling? There is a specification for the can, say 1.2 mm or 1.3 mm. The standardization in some time, the product quality will come down, and while doing the filling process, many damages happen. So a positive discussion happened, and decided to have a on plant in uh, Nilakal. Now, primary data collection, visit to the different factories were done, and the inputs were taken. Now, it was found that the cost of building a plant, when we are approaching an Indian company, it takes around 7 to 8 crore for manufacturing the plant, whereas the same process, if you are depending on foreign, especially Chinese manufacturers, we found that the cost is coming down drastically. The building space itself, if the Indian manufacturing ecosystem requires around 30,000 to 40,000 square feet, the same it can be done with around 10,000 to 15,000 square feet. So that is the level of automation that they have brought in the manufacturing sector. Now, how this engineering sector can bring down, bring up this change is that while shifting from the aluminum can to paper can, the devotees who are uh, using these cans, generally they throw out these cans, which is a waste. But the paper can, which is biodegradable to a greater extent, helps in sustaining the ecosystem or the environment in a greater level. So when I talk about the engineering or the machinery part, why the cost is coming down, I wish to talk about the process a little bit. So in can manufacturing, most of the can, the standardized height is around 90 mm. So uh, we collect the paper roll, do a spiral winding, and make it in a cylindrical form. Then do some gumming, and the cylinder is coming out of the production line. Now, what happens is that as there is a heat involved in this cylinder also process, it is difficult to do an immediate cut due to the chances of defect. Now, the Indian company, after cutting this into a cylinder, say around 1 feet length, it is transformed to the cooling space where it is kept for normal cooling for certain around say 1 day. Again, it is transformed to uh, the cutting section where it is cut to the specific length, and this flanching and other processes are done. Now, the same machinery, when we opted for another machinery, it was found that during the spiraling process and the making of the cylinder, they incorporated a heat exchanger, and simultaneous cooling also was being done in the machinery. Now, what is the advantage? When the cylinder comes out, 1 feet cylinder comes out, it is entering into a cutting system where multiple cutters are provided for cutting to a specific length. Then what is the next process? This cutting or the product after the cut is entering into what you say, a chain where the operation is continuous, the flanging is done automatically, and finally the product is coming out of the system. Final product is coming out of the system. Now, uh, why the same thing is not possible from our side? Why our engineers are unable to do or bring out such solutions or reduce the cost need to be discussed. Why it is not possible by us? Then comes the smart cities. We are discussing about smart cities, planned cities, even though a little bit late, we are at least discussing about such cities. I wish to quote certain cities, the upcoming greenfield city, Amaravati in Andhra Pradesh. Then comes the gift city in Gujarat. Then comes the Dholera, the again it is in Gujarat. These are all smart cities, greenfield cities, you say, which is happening in our country. Many states are now thinking of building such greenfield cities. So when you talk about planned cities, we used to uh, present this British planning in a very great manner. Look at Chandigarh, how it is planned, Punjab, or many other cities, or the Mumbai metro rail system, which was planned by the British engineers, how it is planned. Why it was not possible from our side? Why we have not thought about it of such a planned cities? Uh, Take the case of Gift City. The entire utility is underground. You cannot see a single post, electric post. Even the cooling system, we have a centralized cooling system where pipes are uh, taken underground to the specific buildings. Again, the maintenance is again done through maintenance vehicles running underground. So this level of change is happening uh, because we have decided, say, past is past. We the engineers need to think of alternate solutions or bring a greater impact to the society through such innovations or such best practices which need to be brought to our country. Again, the concept of smart cities. When we discussed about smart cities, even though budgetary allocations were done to the different cities, even in our Kerala, we were allocated to Kochi. But the hurdle is that how can we improve the sanitation part? You need to build from zero because already the roads are there, already certain uh, channels are built, and how can we change them into a modern smart city? So this is a challenge. Even in the transport system, also we have uh, very low width roads. We all want to reach faster, but it is difficult to uh, for us to develop a 6 line or 8 line roads. So who need to take a call? Then comes the road quality of construction. Uh, I wonder why we are unable to build a road of, say, free of maintenance for 5 or 10 years. Why engineers are unable to do it, say, 20 years back? Why we were not able to do it when countries like Malaysia was doing? Now, this scenario has changed nowadays. You can see that when National Highway is building roads, you can see or hear about the record-breaking road constructions where in states like Maharashtra, uh, 6 lanes are built in, say, 100 kilometers is built in one day, like stories you can hear. And that too, sophisticated equipments are implemented. People working 24 hours to bring change. So such engineering contribution, you can see how it is impacting the society. Another societal intervention happened with the startup booms. 10 years back, what was our startup ecosystem, and now what is the startup ecosystem? The official data says that around more than 1 lakh uh, officially recognized startups are there in our country, and that many startups which have started 5 years back have now become unicorns with around $1 billion turnovers. We are proud to say that we have around 75 unicorns. Now compare this data with China or US. China has around 350, 400 unicorns, and US has around 800, 850 unicorns. So what is the journey that we have to fulfill? Say the government of India is targeting around, say, to reach to the top position in 2047. We are planning to do many things to reach to the top table, even though we may not be able to reach to the top first position, maybe we will be reaching to the third position. So what is the hard journey that we have to travel ahead to reach such figures? Again, coming to the engineers' contribution to the sector, you can see that around 72% of the unicorns are contribution is from the engineering side. The valuation in terms of US dollar, it is around $250 billion. But apart from that, how they are creating employment. Say, for example, in the uh, consumer goods sector, platforms like Misho, then in the fintech sector, you have many companies like Zerodha, Moneyview, and many other companies are Fino payment sectors, digital payment sectors who have come up the last few years. So these sectors contributed by the engineers have created a great level of employment, have helped in reducing the poverty level in our country. And this startup ecosystem is growing day by day by the implementation of technology business incubators in many technical institutions all over in the IITs, NITs. Then comes the schemes like Nidhi Prayas, many seed funding schemes, prototype building schemes, then market support schemes, the grants. These are all 20, 30 lakh grants which are provided through this institutions, lead institutions. And many graduates after completion take risk in utilizing such grants and is helping to transform the society in various ways. In IIT Palakkad, I came across a startup. Uh, they, after graduation, decided to replace the plastic bottles with the biodegradable uh, bottles. So they got funding from IIT Palakkad. It took around 1 to 2 years to develop the prototype, and their main challenge, they said, was developing the lid part. they struggle for 6 months by developing various combinations as we are using biodegradable materials for such development of such parts. So finally, they became successful now, and it is mass manufactured through contract manufacturing from Ahmedabad, and they are now focusing on the marketing part of the product, and slowly, steadily, they are gaining um, their sales. So this ecosystem was developed, say, 30, 40 years back in US, and due to such ecosystem from the uh, base level, that is the educational institution level, US became the leader in such cases, I mean, bringing unicorns. To the top companies, as you know, come from US based. We are also slowly, steadily filling the gap. For the last 1 to 2 years, you can see that the defense sector has been privatized, or the government is initiating the privatization of defense sectors, and many startups are focusing on defense sector, building drones. And now they have started exporting drones. And when you talk of in figure terms, in 2015-16, we were not bothered about exporting defense. We were thinking of how to replace the old defense products by importing from different countries. Now, the the latest figure, 2026, we have imported around 40,000 crore products. Our BrahMos is exported. Our drones are being exported. Our many micro parts are being exported. Even recently, we got an order for uh, wheels for uh, trains from Europe. So slowly, steadily, the companies in manufacturing sector are gaining strength. So this itself shows how the core engineering is becoming relevant again and again compared to the IT sector. The core sector, manufacturing sector, has started showing strength. So we are expecting an export of around 1 lakh crore within next 1 to 2 years. Again, it is the contribution is from the private sector mainly. Now, who is leading such defense startups? Again, students who have graduated from IITs, then NITs, then the other institutions are leading this. When talking about the startup funding, etc., there was a norm that investment bankers or private equity players were preferring students with an IIT stamp. Of course, they have an advantage in terms of technical knowledge, in terms of exposure, etc. Nowadays, the investment people have redrafted their thought process, and they are supporting, irrespective of the engineering background or the education background, they have started supporting the students or a startup ecosystem by only thinking of the outcome, or how you are bringing the solutions. So the topic was flourished engineer, how a flourished engineer can bring change to the society, or how flourished engineer uh, is transforming the society. So we can say this is not a purely a technical term, flourished engineer, but it is a poetic term where a basic engineer after education uh, started exploring more than the technical knowledge that he has gained from the institute, from the faculties, and have a broad based thought process. So we can call them as a flourished engineer. So beyond the technical expertise, they are they have started contributing to in changing the way society thinks. They lead in bringing changes, and they can bring a better world. So I have quoted many examples where uh, what are the problems that uh, real time we are facing, and how many flourished engineers started thinking differently and brought changes to such problems. So flourished engineer, okay, when you talk about a normal student who gains knowledge from the institute, say basic maths or technical side, are they well connected to the industry problems? I am a little bit speculative, no, or I'm a little bit pessimistic about it, because almost 5 to 10% contribution or relation is there with the real industry problems. We learn around 5 to 6 subjects every semester, and for the 4 years, we are learning around 40, 45 papers. Apart from that, the project, many other engagements are we are doing. Now, we have little bit knowledge about many things. Now, how it is going to contribute, it is very doubtful. So at least we should think of uh, specialization in the third year itself. We have to identify the basic engineering skills, club their traits, add skills to them, and help to identify or how the better skill that the students have, and slowly, steadily divert them to become a flourished engineer. Now, certain traits, let me discuss uh, about a flourished engineer. He should be a critical thinker. Now, how a normal engineer, when a critical thinking quality is added, apart from uh, learning or scoring, he will be interacting with the society. Uh, I uh, I wish to quote an example again. This guy in Kerala was doing a project in purification or filtering of air, or improving the quality of air. So he found that while traveling in vehicles, especially in cars, many people face this nausea issues, or many other health issues. Now he found that the contribution of air quality is affecting their health issues, and such how can we solve such issues. So he did this study, and finally he brought this brand called Good Air. Good Air, you can uh, go through the net how Good Air is placed in a premium market, and how Good Air is contributing to the society. The product is exported to Middle East, many Europe countries. Now, what is the basic raw material of this? The basic raw material is the activated carbon, which is uh, extracted from the coconut shell. And this coconut shell, which is plenty available in our country, many of us use it for burning it in household. Many of us waste it. Uh, then some other try to collect it and sell it at a lower price. Now, how this person Mohammed Shafi thought about this project to be converted to a valuable product because he had a critical thinking mindset. He, after introducing this product, after a long prototype testing and patenting this, became one of the best innovators in this sector, where still many of us are using the chemical scents, perfumes which are having chemicals in it, and we are what you say, exposed to such chemicals daily, and we are not at all worried about it. So such type of engineers, how they are drastically changing the way society is thinking, you can visualize or you can experience it. Now, again, a flourished engineer should have an attitude of lifelong innovator. When we say about lifelong innovation, it is about the mindset. Can a person become think about innovation every day? I may say to a certain extent it is possible. There is a group called Vajra Industries which is contributing to the defense applications to the ISR or VSSC. Their main product is the gasket or heat resistant plates built from rubber compounds. So here's the founder. I when I visited this company, this founder used to visit this company in a wheelchair, discuss with the engineering people, think of how to improve the production, how the quality can be improved, how the mix can be improved, how the machinery part can be redesigned, how the cost can be brought down. And such mindsets have helped in companies like Vajra, VR Composites, to develop world-class products where are exporting to oil companies in US. So it should be, see, the mindset should be lifelong innovator. And the urge should come within. Every day, how can I do something different? How can I think differently? Another trait is the collaborative leadership skill. Even if we have this critical thinking and or the lifelong innovation skills, if you are lacking the collaborative approach, there is chance of industry failures. You may be individually strong, you may be a great innovator, you have a great product, but you may not be able to reach the market. So from the engineering perspective, you can say that, say, I will again quote an example. This probiotic sector, you might have heard about this probiotic sector, which is gaining popularity, especially among the youngsters, because of the various issues like bowel syndromes and stomach related issues. So the probiotic is what you say, you cannot call it as medicine, but a wellness product, and derived from uh, plant-based as well as animal-based probiotics are there. Most of the cases are coming from the milk or the curd-related product. Now here is a guy who have developed around 16 products in various sectors, and one of the product is the probiotic sector, and the name is Ashwas. It is an Ayurvedic product, Uh, we were helping him to raise the funds. We had an investment banker meet. We discussed. He did a presentation, and finally, the people decided to say go for this project, and they said they will be investing, but the manufacturing or the marketing and the manufacturing need to be controlled by them. They want to bring stringent qualities, uh, and this guy did not agree because he said he don't want to share the idea. You just invest. I will develop the product, and you take the profit. So, due to the lack of collaborative approach, that opportunity got missed. And of course, you if you go into the probiotic sector, main contribution is from the Japanese companies. They are leading it. Then other factors I wish to quote is the ethical and sustainable way of thinking, where the design aspect, the safety aspect, a certain principle aspect things comes in. So ethical and sustainable thought process are generally given least ranking because, as I said earlier, we were focusing on reducing the poverty and improving the income. Though ethical and sustainable practices slowly, steadily, such market will develop soon. And as a flourished engineer, of course, he will always be thinking of certain basic ethical and sustainable practices, which nowadays are incorporated in the as part of the syllabus for learning purpose for the students. Again, whether an engineer should be visionary. The question is whether he need to be visionary. Now, I was discussing various problems. These problems existed 50 years back. This problem existed 30 years back. Now, who is going to bring that change? Who is going to take that decision? So when in 1990s, when the balance of payment crisis came, who will take the decision to pledge our gold in World Bank and take the money? Of course, there will be a lot of resistance from our citizen or the various organizations. Who will decide to bring express highways by uh, what you say destruction, by doing destruction of the hills, by damaging the roads, means ponds, by building what you say high-rise buildings? Who will who will take this forward? So this can be done by visionaries only. Say for example, Mr. E. Sridharan. It was his visionary process that brought the change in the Konkan sector or the Konkan Railway was the contribution of his visionary aspects. Finally, I wish to quote this term resilient and responsible. Even after becoming, say, a flourished engineer, the challenge is are we resilient? Have we the capability of perseverance? Is there? Can we take the responsibility to bring the change? So, as I said, most of the uh, decision making is done by the bureaucracy. Most of the decision making is done by the bureaucracy, especially when you talk about the visionary decisions. It was said that in 1980s, people had to get appointment of the bureaucrats to get booking of the Maruti 800 car because we need influence to book a car, to get a car. Think of this today's scenario, how the things have changed. So the privatization has helped efficient people to explore their efficiency, to improve their efficiency, and bring a lot of change due to their strong, responsible, and resilient manner in which they do things. So we discussed many things, how a flourished engineer can change our society, how we have moved to the fifth place in the GDP level from 10th or 11th place. Slowly, steadily, we are improving. Their basic contribution to poverty alleviation, you can say that uh, around 27 crore Indians came out of poverty
उनको टिकट कॉपी
due
देना पड़ता
to
है,
the,
यहाँ पे अपने को सेंड करना पड़ता है।
due to the engineering contribution. And in that, it's a major contribution was IT. And in future, you can see that the manufacturing, the defense sectors, and many other sectors, core engineering sectors are going to come. What about the education sector? It was controlled by the government. Now it is privatized. Now we are signing with the universities in UK where they are having a joint venture in bringing the education here. And 20 years back, when we were thinking about privatization of education, we faced resistance. When we thought about foreign education bringing to our country, we faced resistance. And of course, the people who were visionary, who were resilient, took the call, and slowly, steadily, things are changing. Now, what have the edutech platforms brought to the society? Even though Byju's have become a failure, the idea brought a drastic change, a disruption in this economy. Now new companies have come where they are using the online platforms, and a lot of competitive exams are done through online platforms. Come to the clean environment sector. We were totally dependent upon Chinese solar manufacturers. From that, we have at least become around 50 to 60% self-reliant. Self-reliant in the sense we are at least trying hard to bring change to become self-sustained in this clean environment sector. Unfortunately, when we talk about clean environment sector, even the electric vehicle ecosystem, whether the solar sector, wind sector, still we are dependent upon foreign technologies because we lack an ecosystem. As I said earlier, we learn for 4 years, many theory papers are learned. But what is the relevance of learning if we are not able to contribute to the industry sector? Why we are learning so much of subjects? No, we have keeping in mind in the new scenarios, we have of course brought this national education policy in 2020, and the spillover effect is going on. It is coming slowly, steadily, but you have already missed the train, and we are trying a catch up. So this is the present scenario. Coming to the public health and safety, are we capable to bring change? Of course, we are capable. When you simply say the word COVID, during the COVID crisis, we had the mind, we had the what to say, the ability to export the COVID vaccine to the foreign countries, which of course helped in improving our reach to many countries. Coming to the fifth point, the economic empowerment. Digital transactions, fintech platforms are nowadays contributing a great to the economic empowerment. You have you had public sector banks. In 70s, private sector banks were again publicized with the philosophy that private sector banks are mainly focusing on money making, and they are not reaching to the rural sector. So the government decided to publicize every banks, even ICICI Bank was publicized. And they government took over the banks and decided that this is the way to improve our economy. And in the end, the government realized that okay, this itself is not going to help the economy. We have to bring private banks. They are bringing efficiency. Now the public sector contribution has come down. The service part, the efficiency part has improved in the private sector. And then comes the fintech revolution. Now, having a physical branch in the rural side is almost difficult. We have to build a, say, a branch with a certain cost involved in it. Now, the innovation part is the financial technologies. Why can't we convert the dukans, normal shops, retail shops into a bank? Such ideas from the most of the cases from the engineering graduates decided with their vision, they started fintech companies uh, like Bank Hub, Fino, where the platforms, rural retail shops are converted to banking services. This happened because of the revolution in the internet, because of the revolution in the software technology, because of the revolution in the, to a little extent, the hardwares, and rural banking flourished to a great level. Now look at the figure. As I said earlier, we are doing digital transaction of around 80 crore per day. It was 10 crore 10 years back. No, 5 years back, it was 10 crore. Now it is 80 crore per day. Even if the government is charging 1 rupee per transaction, up from certain, say, after 100 rupees, even if it government is charging 1 rupees, now it is free. Now, what is the revenue that is going to be generated from the transaction itself? So that is the level of economic empowerment that especially the flourished engineer has brought to the society. Uh, even Europe is behind us in economic empowerment, especially the digital transactions. Now you have DG lockers. We can have a, say, urgent loans within, say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes if every documents of your things are correct, subject, and your verification is done online. And this, of course, is contributing a great in the economic empowerment. So I briefed about how the flourished engineer, how he is contributing to the society. Uh, uh, when a normal technical engineer becomes a flourished engineer, he is of course going to change the way society thinks and act. Now, what are the challenges to become a flourished engineer? AICT study says that around 40, when that itself is a positive figure, uh, especially when we are interacting with the MSME sector, they used to say that what is the purpose of degree or a diploma if they are not readily employable. So the figure says that 45% of graduates are only employable. Now, it is a reality because most of the time we are focusing on theoretical learning, and even Kerala Technical University is least bothered about practical teaching. When KTU was formed, at that time, a prominent person who was leading it, he said, we are going to create an NIT, IIT standard. Now, I wondered why we need NIT, IITs when already they have a level of education, IITs and NITs. No, we need to properly level the normal engineering colleges to say below NIT, so that a little bit of practical, more level of practical exposure is given to them, so they are readily employable to the industry. Then level tier 4, you have the diploma ITI people who can support these people in the shop floor. Then comes NIT, IITs. So in the chain, in the organization chain, each institute has its own role. Each institute should identify its own role and work accordingly instead of trying to equalize their roles. So, of course, most of the graduates will not be able to means quality of level will be down. Again comes the skill gaps. You have a graduate degree, you don't have a skill to operate a CNC because you have least exposure to the industry. Even the software part, it is better because we have advantage of getting the technology access. Even nowadays, we have development cloud AI, then ChatGPT. The platforms are developing where to a greater extent the software skill is improved, the skill gap is filled. Now, what is happening? The latest scenario says that the software sector has the contribution of employment from the software sector is coming down due to the involvement of AI. Urban-rural disparity is happening in engineering quality. Now, how can we fill that? No, as privatization happened, of course, private engineering colleges will be thinking of money making or a profit. To a little extent, they want to run it in a profitable way. And if they are struggling, of course, they are not going to help in improving the skill part. They are not going to give exposure of the students to the industrial part. This will not be practically possible. If that is the case in urban side, and now think of a rural side, even many quality engineering colleges will not be present in the rural side. So the government's role is to bring skill centers in the rural side, bring engineering colleges in the rural side with a collaborative approach. Say, government will provide a certain level of funding or a public-private partnership form. Another great challenge that we have is the level of contribution of R&D. It is just 0.7% when 2 to 3% of the GDP is contributed by China to the R&D. If you look at the uh, patents all over the world, now China is covered USA in number of patents. USA of course was in the top. Now new way of thinking, new way of technology, new way of innovations are happening in such countries, and as we are lacking in R&D, and even if R&D is happening, it may not be for the purpose of industry, but it is just for a purpose of doctorate purpose, PhD or postdoctoral purpose, which is not getting uh, spilled over to the industry. So such a great gap is already existing in India, which lead to brain drain, where higher studies, research, everything, people are going out and still they are going out and contributing to the other countries' economy. Now, way forward, when we talk about challenges, now, as I said, there are visionaries, there are people who are willing to bring changes. And that is why the intellectuals uh, sit together and decided and discussed and uh, brought National Education Policy 2020. Even though there may be certain improvements required, at least we have started thinking of national education policy uh, uh, reformations and improvement of IITs. The number of IITs have improved now. Almost all states have one IIT. Number of NITs have improved. Government college capacities have improved. Uh, so such development is of course contributing in an indirect way to the economic growth. Now, public spending, R&D spending is slowly, steadily improving. From 0.7 percentage, it is going to reach around 2 percentage, maybe within 3-4 years, which will again help in improving reducing the brain drain. So such positive things are also happening as we go ahead, which will help in the way India is growing. As I come from EDIA, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, uh, we formed in 1983 uh, by the visionary Vijay Patel in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Uh, he he was a research scholar, and during his Harvard time, he found that that was during the 70s. He found that entrepreneurial ecosystem need to be developed in our country in order to alleviate poverty. Now, how can this be developed? He said there is a strong belief in many that entrepreneurship or the business community is a special community. Normal people cannot achieve such things. Only legacy. You need legacy to have such level of business or entrepreneurial mind. And he rewrote that by uh, having a study with successful entrepreneurs. He found that many successful entrepreneurs have a trait which can be accumulated, which can be adopted by many others, and they can develop an entrepreneurial mind. So as I said earlier, engineering and flourished engineer, there is a drastic difference how a flourished engineer helps in society compared to a normal engineer. Now, we can see that in a flourished engineer, certain level of entrepreneurial competencies are developed. That is why such people take risk in starting what you say companies. Even to level of debt is they are exposing to a level of debt, and such risk taking people are born due to the development of such core competencies. Innovation and creativity, one of the competencies, it is said that innovation and creativity. So when I talk about entrepreneurial competencies, it is not strictly restricted to an engineer. It is any normal person can explore this. You should have an innovation thinking. And how can an innovation mind come? When you are interacting with the society, when you are identifying the problems related to the society, uh, then how if that problem is solved by this person, the society is going to benefit. So such level of innovation mind and creativity, when developed in the engineering graduates or even in the beginning of the engineering students, this will transform them to a flourished engineer maybe after fourth or fifth year. We have MOUs with the different engineering colleges all over India, where entrepreneur as a curriculum is brought in the third semester itself. Slowly, steadily, we are developing together a skill, a core competency skill among the students. And when they enter into the fourth year, uh, they nearly reach to a flourished engineer caliber. Another core competency is the strategic thinking. As I said, when we need to set a long-term goal during the split of Reliance Industries, it was said that most of the top industries were held with Anil Ambani and Mukesh got less. That was the discussion at that time. But he was a great strategic thinker. He found that uh, the communication tomorrow is going to happen through uh, net, and this level of transformation is going to happen in 5G, 6G sector. So he was a strategic thinker. That is why in the long term he sustained compared to the person. Now coming to the leadership and team building, the same thing we discussed earlier. So for a flourished engineer, a leadership and team building is an added advantage. Of course, I have not discussed about the role of CEOs, managing directors, of many of them who come from the engineering background. But generally, this leadership and team building, of course, these people will be having. When TCS decided to start a company in Kochi, it was a call from the top level, and from 10 or 15 people now, you can have a 3,000 or 5,000 employees TCS in Kochi. The decision by the team or the leaders became fruitful after a long time. So this decision need to be taken by the top people. The financial equipment is another aspect that we need to focus, because many of the companies, when we do the detailed project reports, what we have found is that many of the companies fail due to lack of financial equipment. They may be expanding drastically, then one day they found that their cash flow is depleted. The realization becomes late. That happened to Byju's. They expanded well, their brand, they did a great brand building, that the cash flow stopped in a day. This happened to many FMCG sector companies like Big Bazaar. They were unable to manage the cash flow, and expansion was done rapidly, and they had to come down. So reading the financial statements, managing the cash flow, how the fixed expenses, the variable expenses are operating, how the financial ratios like break-even point, then the internal rate of return, then return on capital employed are changing, or how it is going to impacting the performance. These need to be known very well to have a great innovation or a great strategic thinker or leadership team person to be successful in entrepreneurship. Networking and influence. Even though when we hear this term, networking and influence, even though it is compared to the earlier terms, it is not that much relevant. Maybe we will be thinking like that, but a single call or a single influence could decide a great lead to a great level of disruption or change. Say a meeting with a CEO. The CEO or the founder, if we get an appointment with the founder, You present a particular idea, and the founder decided, say, okay, I am ready to invest a certain amount. You go ahead. So such uh, things happen in Shark Tank. You have heard about Shark Tanks where people present their ideas, get investment, they grow. So such skills need to be developed from the engineering level itself, where the skill of speaking, the skill of networking, the skill to influence to do things, which will help in developing partnerships and future growth. Then finally, I wish to discuss the resilience and adaptability. So, of course, we said about flourished engineer, how he or she is going to start an entrepreneur, or taking a risk, or being in the top level, taking a call of many other decisions are taken by him. But many of the decisions may become failure. Take the case of Nokia. Their earlier decisions was failure, but they are still running as a company by their upper hand in hardware sector. They are still running, and many employment is created by them. So such level of adaptability, resilience, if is getting imbibed in this uh, uh, engineers or such people, we can see many successful ventures. Okay, so we started with a general discussion about how the country its contribution to the economy, where we stand, how the engineering sector is contributing to the society, and how around 70% of the problems are solved by the engineers uh, all over the world. How the sector-wise, we discussed about the contribution of sectors, how our country is changing from an IT related major to a slowly, steadily a manufacturing supported GDP system, how the healthcare sector is turning around, and how every life is slowly, steadily improving, how the purchasing power parity is improved, per capita income has improved, and the major contribution is by whom? Of course, the engineers. And by whom? Not a mere technical engineer, but a flourished engineer. And how a normal engineer and a flourished engineer thinks differently, we discussed. What are the traits that a flourished engineer have compared to just a graduate, and how these traits are transforming the society and the overall economy. And still, we have unexplored areas. We discuss many problems and how people are trying to solve such problems. And going ahead, as I said, the Vision 2047, we have a long road ahead. We have many hurdles ahead. We need to overcome such situations, and how the engineers can help uh, in such scenarios. From zero export to 30,000 crore export in the defense sector, to reaching, say, within 15-20 years to one of the top two exporters or three exporters of the world. What is the space that need to be filled? You can imagine. Again, the health sector, we discussed about the health sector advantage. People are coming from Europe or US to get treatment from India. Now we are going to outside countries for treatment. Now think of a scenario where people are coming out from outside and taking a treatment, high level treatment, robotic surgeries, or any other advanced treatments from our country, then going back. How the tourism is going to get impacted due to that, and what is the level of space that need to be filled in the medical sector. We discussed about the dental sector, where we have a zero machinery manufacturing ecosystem for dental allied products. We discussed about how we lack in R&D when we discussed about paper can manufacturing. We discussed about how a small project from the college level, developed into a good air brand, bringing a raw material from the local place, and how this has lead to the export of a particular segment product. So such points we have discussed, and the role of a flourished engineer we have discussed. And finally, I wish to conclude that the statistics states that around 70% of the world problems are solved by engineers. So if that is the case, the primary investment should go to the engineering sector. And the investment, whatever it be, it should be value investment. So invest in engineering education for better future. Now, the higher level authorities are discussing whether we need to further engineering colleges, or we need to improve the existing engineering colleges, or we need to increase the presence of engineering colleges in the rural sector, or certain level of decisions are need to be taken. But the fact is that if we need to solve the problems, we need to invest in engineering education, whether it be in the existing institute, or whether it be by through new interventions, or developing existing institutes to a next level by collaborative approach, or whatever it be. Only then the people who are opting for engineering education will get inspired, and such people, when go out of the institution, they need to be proud of their representing their institution. But unfortunately, many of the alumni are not that much inclined to their institution. Maybe after 15, 20 years, they will be coming back to a little bit level, but normally that is the case. So if we need to inspire the engineering graduates, we need to invest more in the engineering education for how to build a flourished future. When we talk about flourished future and all, there are many terms where many people use, say, Vishwaguru, or the leading country for the world and all. But I don't believe in such terminologies. But such a name or that words are inspiring, but we need to look inside. We need to look inside what are the things that we need to focus, basically. Instead of uh, developing a say reach to the outside countries, we need to strongly look inside what are the decisions or the changes that we need to bring in the engineering sector. And with this, I wish to say that especially the faculties who are engaged in transforming the uh, normal engineering aspirants to a flourished engineer, to a great society man, I wish to say that educate. Of course, we are educating, we are giving them inputs from the syllabus, of course. But the second part, are we able to connect? Are we able to inspire, at least when we are engaging with 50 or 40 students, at least are we able to touch the heart of a single student, or 2 or 3 students, so that even after 5 or 10 years, he call you back and ask for advice, or help you? Is that, are we able to bring a connect with the students or the engineering students? Is it possible for us, if maybe many of them are doing it well, but in general perspective, I feel that due to the lack of time or many other reasons, many of them are unable to connect them personally, inspire them, and give a helping hand, and bring them to the next level. And such connections will, of course, transform the engineering education scenario. The future education will, of course, we built from this normal institutes. Even though the top institutes stand ahead, normal institutes can greatly contribute to such level of change. And I wish all the best to those who have participated in this. Go back and interact with your future students, develop a connect with them. Let at least a few students, one or two students from your institute, transform and become a flourished engineer and bring drastic change to the society, the country, and let us lead the world in almost all the sectors. So thank you all for giving me an opportunity, especially Sripati, Institute of Management and Technology. Thank you for inviting me for this session.
This is an interactive section. You have any doubt, please ask. If you don't have any questions, let's wind up. Thank you, Sarath sir, for delivering such an insightful and inspiring session on the future of education and how the engineers can contribute to society in multiple ways. We are truly thankful for the time and effort. Once again, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So we shall now conclude this session. The next session will commence at 2 p.m. by Suresh sir.